Hey YouTube, Pokemon Go put out this teaser for Community Day, and we all basically know it is Popplio evolving into Primarina, and we know it will get Hydro Cannon because this follows just the strategy of the starters every like 2 to 3 months, and we're rotating through the starters, and Popplio is next on this list, and Bubbles and Water, and it's just very straightforward, obvious. So, good news that we have a Pokemon that is getting Hydro Cannon. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over this Pokemon just as is. Look at its stat products in the Great League just to kind of see how it fits in general. And then we'll look at what this new move Hydro Cannon will do and why. So this Pokemon is, as you can see just based on the stat products here in the Great League, a Pokemon that is more attack heavy than defensive heavy, right? So when you look at that 131 attack and then a 160 and 110 defense and then 160 and 94 overall, this is more of an attack heavy Pokemon to start with. So in Great League, if you're attack heavy Pokemon, you need you need incredible typing and you need a good moveset to be usable. So 131 attack means that you're pretty hard hitting and then don't have the best defense or stamina so you can't take a lot of damage. Currently, there is only 2 fast moves and 4 charge move options. Waterfall and Charm as your fast moves, and then Disarming Voice, Hydro Pump, Moonblast, Psychic as your charge move. So this Pokemon is really difficult to run right now for 2 reasons. So one is the stat product, which I already talked about. You're very attack heavy, not very great at defense and stamina. But the second issue is your fast moves are just truly hard hitting low energy fast moves. So Charm getting that 6 damage per turn with Stab, same type attack bonus, and only 2 energy per turn, and then you have a Waterfall 4.8 damage per turn with only 2.67. So very, very, very hard hitting in the damage here, but very, very low energy. So if you're super low energy like this, you need some quick charge moves, and this Pokemon does not have quick charge moves. It has Disarming Voice, which is not bad. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. 45 energy, 84 damage, 1.87. Not a bad damage per energy for a 45 energy move by any means, right? So decent move, especially with same type attack bonus. A lot of those who are running Disarming Voice in the Great League, Skeldurge, don't get that same type attack bonus, so you'll hit a little harder with Disarming Voice. But unfortunately, you have either a higher energy fairy move or a really, really, really high energy, 75 energy Hydro Pump, or a non-stab 55 energy but terrible damage per energy Psychic. So it was missing its Community move, and now it got its Community move. Last thing we'll check is the typing Water Fairy. So you have 3 weaknesses: Electric, Grass, and Poison, and then a lot of resistances: Double Resist Dragon, Single Resist Water, Ice, Fire, Fighting, Dark, and Bug. So again, I don't think it's going to have play in the Great League, and we'll look at it in a sec. It'll have more play in the Ultra League and Master League. But if you're just talking about like what you typically see a lot of in all these leagues, there's some electric, not a lot of grass, not a ton of poison. But you know what? There's a lot of dragon, water, ice, okay amount of fire, a lot of fighting, and a decent amount of dark and bug. So to have all those resistances is huge. So from a typing standpoint, I think it is very, very strong. From a moveset standpoint, it really is missing that Hydro Cannon, which was getting. And then the stat product is not great. The only thing I will show you like how much of an improvement is Hydro Cannon. Well, for those of you who don't know, Hydro Cannon is one of the best fast moves in the game. 40 energy, 80 damage, 2 damage per energy. Plus you're going to get a same type attack bonus on top of that. So add on another 20%. So with your other options for your second moves, I said you had Psychic or you had Hydro Pump. And unless you want to use like Moonblast as your third move there, you can't just do Psychic in itself. So Psychic right here is like 55 for 75, like 1.36. Moonblast, same thing, really, really high energy, and then Hydro Pump, same thing, really, really high energy. But now you just get this super, super quick 40 energy, 80 damage plus stab, looking good here. So let's look at the Great League. So I did analysis for Great League, Ultra League, and Master League. For the Great League, I ran your typical moveset: Charm, Disarming Voice, Hydro Pump. And then I put in Charm, Disarming Voice, Hydro Cannon, and then I also put in Waterfall, just because it's slightly faster energy. So I was wondering, like, okay, now that you have a Hydro Cannon, is a slightly faster fast move better when you can get to the charge moves quick instead of just doing that raw damage of Charm? Waterfall still hits pretty hard, but it's slightly faster energy. So maybe you can get to the Hydras faster. Maybe it makes a difference. Ran it against a Great League meta. So with Charm and Hydro Cannon, there's actually no difference in the analysis here. And 1527, and then when you put in Waterfall, you lose 2. Now you do have a slightly overall average. So how you may be thinking, how did I just get one of the best fast moves in the game, charge moves in the game, and still useless? And again, it comes down to those 2 things that I talked about. The stat product does not give it the bulk to get there. And even if you add a slightly faster Waterfall, you're not getting to the charge moves fast enough with Charm, right? And it's great that you can now get to the charge move faster, but you're too glassy to get to the moves. So that's why you have such a bad record. Now, if you had shield advantage, like if your opponent had 0 shields and you had 1, you're going to see a very, very different story here, right? Because now you got that raw Charm damage with a super hard hitting Hydro. Suddenly, you're looking pretty good. And that Hydro Cannon, if you run the same moveset with Charm, but now Hydro Cannon, you pick up 3 more wins and almost 100 points higher than the average, which is substantial. So if you're going to be using this Pokemon in the Great, I'm not saying don't use this Pokemon. I'm saying that if in the even shield scenario, this Pokemon's not going to be good, right? So let's look at the 0-0. 0-0, you do actually improve significantly, and you actually do even better with Waterfall, right? Which makes sense because if shield's down, Waterfall damage plus the Hydro combo will be better. So in the zeros, not too bad with both Charm and Waterfall. And the ones we saw, it's not bad. It's not good. And the 2s won't be good either. Actually, the 2s are even better than I expected, quite honestly. 24 and 18. So it looks like this will be a 0 and 2 shield machine. Plus, it will be obviously shield advantage machine. So if you have 2 shields and they have 1, you're looking, again, decent, better with Waterfall because you get to moves faster. And then same thing, we just saw it with the 1 and 0. So not that I won't have no play in Great League. My only concern is, like this is a 1v2 shield. So this is you with shield advantage. Look at some of the stuff that you are losing to anyways, and it's unfortunately just the meta, right? So you're losing to Bastiodon, losing to Charjabug, you're losing to Cresselia, you're losing to Lantern, Lickitung, Mantine, right? Quagsire. In the no, with that you're now winning Skarmory, and then obviously your Grass you're always going to lose. So it's kind of tough where it's just like, yes, it's an improvement. Yes, you're in different shield scenarios, you could do way better, but you're still losing to a lot of the meta of the Great League, which again, that's just the way the Great League is set up. So in the Ultra League, we're expecting to see something similar. Not great in the ones. Slightly better record, slightly better average. Waterfall is way worse. Not surprising that Charm is better in the Ultra League because there's a lot more dragons in the Ultra League, right? Now, let's look in the different shield scenarios just to see if it's better in the 0s and 2s. 27-13 in the 0s as opposed to 20 and 20 regularly. So 27 and 13 in the 0s with a 545 is quite an improvement. So you're picking up Charizard, Gliscor, Gramble, Skeledirge, Swampert, Talonflame, and Virizion in the 0s. Just going Charm and now having that Hydro Cannon or as a quicker hard-hitting move. And let's see if it makes a difference in the 2s here. 2s, same record overall. And again, why in the 2s are you have a similar record and the very similar average? It's because a lot of the time in the 2 shields, you're just Charm damaging it down. You're not really relying on your fast move damaging it down with your Charm. You're not really relying on your charge move with Hydro Cannon. So just being able to charm them is why you normally do so well in the 2 shields anyways. But it's just these 1 shields which again is the PV Poke baseline, that you're not doing so great. And it's just, again, stat product, and then Charm is a bit slower. But it's so why people are going to be excited about this. So let's just look at the Master League, and then I'll just kind of wrap this up here. So in the Master League, this should obviously do way better in the one. And okay, so in the one shield, you don't pick up much there. Look at Waterfall though. Lower average, but 6 more wins. That is quite interesting. Lower average, but 6 more wins with Waterfall as opposed to Charm. And then in the zeros too, I'm worried about just its ability. Okay, in the zeros, 22-19 record. And then in the twos, I'm wondering if the Charm damage is just going to outpace here. Yeah, very similar, right? Again, we're going to ignore the twos because it's just your Charm damage doing a lot. We can analyze the zeros because that is slightly different where the Hydro is going to come into play here. But again, I'm worried about what is the actual meta of Open. Like, so I'm trying to look at some of these wins like Swampert and Togekiss and Sylveon is like, well, that's not really the meta you need to worry about. You know, you beat Palkias, not surprising. Like there's a lot of dragons in here, so you beat the Palkias. But hello, something that everyone will likely have now: Necrozma, Dawnwings, and Duskmane. Really hard losses, real walls to this. Mewtwo just going to get outpaced there. Lugia going to get outbulked. Landorus as one of safe swaps, just going to get out spammed. Kyogre as a water, I guess with Thunder is going to have an answer to you there. Groudon, same thing, just going to get outpaced and outbulked. So there's a lot of dragons which you'll do well against, but not so much a lot of the other meta you'll see. So is this improvement? That's an obvious yes. Whenever you're getting Hydro Cannon, it is an improvement. Is this worth getting excited about? I think so. One thing that we haven't even looked at is what would happen in the Master League Premier when all these legendaries are banned. And what you should know is that knowing the meta, what it was last time, Goodra, Gyarados, Dragonite, like it should run the Master League Premier. You'll probably have more Metagross show up, and that's only depending if you're running Charm or Waterfall, but Charm will be resisted, and you're only neutral, right? Because you're half fairy, half water, so you take super effective from steel from the fairy, but you actually resist it on the water, so it's only neutral steel. But maybe we'll see more like Excadrill and stuff, but then you still have the Hydro if you can get to it. You can grab a shield with the Hydro, so it should be a very, very strong Pokemon in the Master League for sure. I don't see it making that much of a splash in the Great League. Splash, I guess, water. And mostly because there's other Charmers in the Great League that have way more bulk that I think you would probably gravitate to first. So let's just look at the fairies, right? So you have like Carbink and Azumarill. Let's just start with Carbink and Azumarill. Extremely bulky with coverage moves here that are way faster to get to than Charm. If you want to talk about a pure Charm user, Wiggly also has the Disarming Voice, has the quick move of Icy Wind as well. But then you're just, again, look at your stat product, right? You have that insane stamina, 1900 overall, so way better stat product as Wiggly. A9tails can be run as a Powder Snow or Charm user. And same thing, it has that really quick 35 energy move Weather Ball. So if you're running Charm, if you're running the hard-hitting Charm, you can actually just get to the Weather Ball. I mean, Weather Ball isn't the same as Hydro, but you can get to it quicker with the Weather Ball. So I think there's probably other fairies that you will use in the Great League before. So again, Master League will probably have some play, maybe more in limited masters, but probably still has some play in Open. Great League, I think people try it. I think it has some play in the zeros and 2 shields. I just think that there's probably other fairies that I would probably run before. And then Ultra League, I would not be surprised if it jumps into the top 4 for Ultra League. Actually, I probably would put it ahead of Florges. And the thing is, like, a lot of these fairies in the Ultra League, you're not using as Charm users, right? Clefable's a Fairy Wind user. The recommended moveset is Powder Snow and Ninetales, and then obviously Water Gun on Tapu. So if you're looking at a pure fairy, if you want to run as a Charm user, you're going down here as Sylveon 186, Aromatisse 222, Togekiss 234, Gramble 235. I've got to imagine that if you're running it as a pure Charm user in the Great League, in the Ultra League, it's going to jump up to the #1 Charm user Now, is it the top fairy? Probably not. I'd probably go with Tapu. You probably use Ninetales first, but I definitely think it's going to have way more play in the Ultra League. So definitely grab one for all the different levels, but understanding it'll probably have more play in the higher up leagues, Ultra League and Master League, as opposed to the Great League. But I would probably grab one for all of them. Whenever you can get a Hydro Cannon on, that's great. And who knows, if this thing ever gets a fast charging fast move, right? If it gets like a Fairy Wind or something, that could potentially unleash it as well. That will be analysis for maybe a different video when it is closer to the event. So that is it. Let me know your thoughts below on the community and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one.